Welcome back to World Gone Weird. Buckle up, buttercups, because the weirdness dial just got cranked to 11. What fresh hell is brewing today, boys?
Well, Sarah, according to CNN, it appears we have a proper diplomatic dumpster fire raging between Trump and Zelensky. A shouting match in the Oval Office, accusations of ingratitude, and a canceled rare earth minerals deal. What a mess.
A shouting match? Sounds about right for this administration. I mean, did anyone really expect a calm, reasoned discussion? But a minerals deal falling apart. That's potentially a much bigger deal than just hurt feelings.
It's concerning, to say the least. The idea that a crucial alliance could be jeopardized by, a spat is deeply unsettling. And a minerals deal falling through could have real economic consequences, not just for Ukraine, but globally. Rare earth minerals are essential for so many industries these days.
Oh, so now we care about rare earth minerals? Last week it was all about organic kale and artisanal beeswax. Suddenly we're all geopolitical strategists, huh?
It's not about caring now, Sarah. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of these things. These minerals are vital for everything from smartphones to electric vehicles to defense systems. A disruption in the supply chain affects everything, leading to higher prices and supply shortages. And let's be clear, the lack of trust and communication between the US and Ukraine demonstrated in the heated exchange is concerning from a pragmatic standpoint and could lead to future conflicts.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about supply chains here. Trump blowing up at Zelensky. Sure, it's bad optics. But if it means Ukraine gets cozy with someone else, or those minerals become unavailable, it's more than just bad optics. It's economics. It's national security. It's the price of everything going up at Walmart. And it all goes back to basic supply and demand principles and the need for stable international relations.
Yes, and the instability creates opportunities for others to step in. China, for example, is already a dominant player in the rare earth minerals market. A weakened U.S.-Ukraine relationship could further consolidate their power, potentially creating dependencies that are difficult to break.
Okay, so the shiny rocks are important. But isn't there a bit of theater here? Trump's always been, let's say, colorful negotiator. Maybe this is just his way of getting a better deal.
That's a dangerous game to play when the stability of an entire region is at stake. This isn't some real estate negotiation. This is about a country fighting for its survival. We've already seen how Trump's rhetoric is impacting global relations. As the European Union's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, said in a statement that it's clear that the free world needs a new leader, following the shouting match between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Maybe. Or maybe he's just calling Zelensky's bluff. I mean, let's be real. Ukraine needs U.S. support. But what if Zelensky's playing hardball, demanding more than he deserves? Trump's not exactly known for backing down. And there is some merit to Trump focusing on the tangible. A signed agreement on minerals is more valuable than vague security guarantees.
That's a very cynical perspective, Jimmy. Yes, everyone has their own interests, but framing Ukraine as demanding more than it deserves ignores the reality of their situation. They're fighting a war. Security guarantees aren't just vague promises, they're a lifeline. And the message it sends to Putin, it's appalling.
So what you're saying is this whole shouting match could actually make things worse for global supply chains. Like, could this actually make my Amazon Prime deliveries take even longer?
Potentially, yes. If the fallout from this diplomatic breakdown leads to a weakening of Ukraine's position, it could embolden Russia to further destabilize the region. And any disruption to global trade routes, whether through military conflict or political instability, will have a knock-on effect on supply chains. This is the sheer volatility of the situation, and the public nature of the disagreement is unsettling. We need to think about what our actions will truly impact.
All right, but let's not pretend this is all Trump's fault. Zelensky's got his own agenda too. He's not just some innocent victim. He's playing the victim card in order to secure the most aid possible. He's also trying to improve his ratings as well in order to secure a second term. It seems like there are too many agendas at play with global implications.
Of course, he has an agenda. He's trying to protect his country. But to equate that with Trump's, well, whatever Trump's doing is absurd. And the suggestion that he's playing the victim ignores the very real suffering and destruction happening in Ukraine.
Okay, so picture this. Trump and Zelensky are having a screaming match, and meanwhile, in some dark room somewhere, Putin is cackling maniacally while manipulating all of the world, drinking a vodka martini. Is this a bit too much to comprehend?
It's a simplistic view, but it highlights a key point. This situation benefits Russia. The division and distrust sown by this conflict weakens the Western alliance and gives Putin more leverage. And Putin's laughing all the way to the bank because it reinforces the idea that political actors are not always acting in the best interests of the populations they represent.
See, that's what I'm getting at. Everyone's got their angles. The U.S. wants those minerals, Ukraine wants security, and Putin wants to destabilize the region. It's a game of chess, not some morality play. That is why I need to investigate Putin's background, look at his past actions, and see how they correlate with Trump's current trajectory, and why there is a need for such close relations.
But this game of chesses has real-world consequences. People are dying, economies are suffering, and the potential for a wider conflict is growing. We can't just shrug our shoulders and say everyone's got their angles. We have a moral responsibility to support democracy and defend against aggression.
So, what's the solution here? Should we all just start stockpiling canned goods and rare earth magnets? Is that where we're at?
Stockpiling won't solve anything. We need to focus on de-escalation, diplomacy, and finding a solution that addresses the legitimate security concerns of all parties. And we need to be clear and honest in our assessment of whether these emotional responses to the situation are truly evidence-based in their analysis, or are they merely subjective reactions?
De-escalation, diplomacy, sounds nice, but that requires everyone to be reasonable, and that's a tall order these days. I'd say we need to be prepared for anything. Secure our own resources, strengthen our own economy, and don't rely on anyone else. The fervent support for Zelensky from European leaders is truly encouraging, but these things tend to be short-lived.
Preparedness is important, but isolationism is not the answer. We need to work with our allies to build a more resilient global system. That means diversifying supply chains, promoting free and fair trade, and strengthening international institutions. What mechanisms can be put in place to ensure that future administrations prioritize global cooperation and respect for international partners in times of crisis?
Diversifying supply chains sounds expensive. Strengthening international institutions sounds boring. Can't we just get a bunch of robots to mine these rare earth minerals and call it a day?
Automation could play a role in the long term, but it's not a silver bullet. It requires significant investment. It could displace workers, and it doesn't address the underlying geopolitical issues. As with most potential innovations, we need to look at the environmental impact of the chemicals used, packaging, and manufacturing processes.
And who controls those robots? Who owns the mines? It always comes back to power and control. We need to be realistic about the world we live in. It's competitive, it's cutthroat, and it's not always fair.
And that's precisely why we need to strive for a better world. A world where cooperation and empathy outweigh greed and self-interest. A world where everyone has a chance to thrive. The public spectacle of the Oval Office confrontation between Trump and Zelensky seems almost designed to undermine the positive global impact and image of the United States.
Okay, I'm officially stressed out. Can we talk about something lighter? Like, what's the best way to fold a fitted sheet?
Unfortunately, Sarah, the folding of fitted sheets is not going to solve the very real problems facing the world today. We need to stay informed, engaged, and advocate for solutions that promote peace, stability, and prosperity for all. And be wary of any administration that prioritizes short-term political gain over long-term stability.
Exactly. Short-term political gain is the name of the game. And that's why I'm always skeptical of everything I hear. I need demonstrable evidence that these firings are improving efficiency or national security. This feels like a reckless gamble that could have unforeseen consequences. Where are the rational arguments?
The idea that global solutions may be the only hope is certainly a bit radical, but it does shine a light on the importance of global collaboration. What can the average person do right here, right now?
All right, I get it. So, to sum up, Trump and Zelensky are fighting, the world is a mess, and we should all be very, very worried. Got it. Well, that's all the time we have for today on World Gone Weird. Tune in next week when we'll be discussing the existential dread of mismatched socks. Bye, folks.